Hello and welcome to another car review video, and welcome to the Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT. So the Cayenne Coupe Turbo GT uses a 4-litre V8 which is mated to an 8-speed Tiptronic S gearbox, and I was quite surprised by that because I didn't really realise the Tiptronics were still around. I thought we'd moved over to PDK now, but obviously it's the latest iteration of Tiptronic. So the Turbo GT is the first SUV product that's been fettled by the GT department. It's got aluminium multi-link suspension front and rear, and you've got 10-piston monoblock calipers at the front and 4-piston at the back. And it's got whopping 440mm diameter discs at the front and 410 at the rear. So some stats then, for those of you that like the stats. It's got 640 horsepower. It's got 850 newton meters of torque. It's got a top speed of 186 miles an hour in an SUV. And it does 0 to 62 in an amazing 3.3 seconds when the sports chrono is spec'd. And thankfully, it's got a 90-litre fuel tank, which you're probably going to need. So amazingly, the Cayenne has been with us now for 20 years, and this is really the new ultimate version of it. So what I'm trying to figure out is, what is the brief for this car? So a lot of people would say, do we need a big, heavy, petrol-powered V8 car from the GT division? But then other people might say that, well, maybe I want a GT car, but I've got a lot of responsibilities. I've got a family, I need to take a lot of stuff, I want to use it every day, I can only have the one car, so what do? Maybe I buy myself a Cayenne Turbo GT. Or maybe you think, well, I shouldn't. I should compromise, I should find a way around it, and the GT department shouldn't really make something like this. Let me know in the comments what you think. Walter Roll, who is sort of heavily involved with Porsche and is a legendary rally driver, has said that he believes over the last 20 years that the Cayenne has evolved more than the 911 has. So some of the people that we respect are talking about this car in a really good way. So the Cayenne Turbo GT uses the same underpinnings as the Lamborghini Urus and the RS Q8 Audi, but it has an awful lot of bespoke components, obviously the engine, the electronics, the suspension components, so it really has been fettled an awful lot by Porsche and by the GT department, and I think you can really feel that. So if we believe the figures, this is quicker 0 to 62 than a 911 GT3. It's really good for cruising around in, and obviously you've still got the paddles if you want to get a little bit more involved, but you know, how much of this car is going to be used on an everyday basis? And I think from that point of view, having automatic, really gives it that usability. Interior wise, I've just jumped out of the GT3 Touring, and there's definitely still a whiff of that GT product feel in here. There's lots of the race tech, which is Porsche's version of Alcantara. If anything, in this particular model, the steering wheel feels even more racy than the GT Touring, because it's got the race tech on the steering wheel. It's got a lovely yellow top dead center indicator on the wheel as well. The nav and everything is very similar to the new Macan that I was just in, and also the Porsche 911. We've got haptic controls in the center console, and when you first get in, I'm not sure whether it is bigger, but the infotainment system, it seems absolutely huge. It's got a very crisp display. Of course, we've got Apple CarPlay, and we've got a lovely satellite navigation. We've got a huge TFT screen or LCD screen on the right hand side with the sat nav on there as well. So if I've got the center screen set to my music or radio stations, I've still got a really big screen with the sat nav ahead of me. I've also got a really good head-up display as well that's got miles per hour. It's got a warning for cars distance in front of me. It's also got the sat nav as well. So again, I mentioned about the comprehensive head-up display in the new Range Rover, but this one looks like it's got as much or more information on it. When manoeuvring, the steering is really light, and it's very manoeuvrable because we've got rear wheel steering. So the rear wheel steering turns to up to 3 degrees, so in small spaces it's got a really good turning circle. So I've noticed one of the nice things about this is it's actually got front facing cameras as well for when you're manoeuvring, and it's also got a sort of a view from above, which is really cool. So at higher speed, the rear wheel steering steers with the steering inputs of the car and adds to the stability at speed. Okay, let's give it the beans and see what it goes like. Blimey! Now, I'm not sure whether that was more impressive than the GT3 Touring that I just drove. Whether that's because it felt faster, or whether it was just the shock and surprise of the amount of size and weight that we just shifted at quite a pace. It's 2.2 tons, so you really don't expect it to move like that. The Porsche dynamic chassis control counteracts the acceleration and the braking and stiffens up the suspension accordingly. And you can feel that. It doesn't feel as though the body is getting away from it when you're actually pressing on or braking. You can also feel it in the corners as well. There's very little roll and it feels very composed as you throw this big barge into a corner. The brake pedal is nice and firm, and it's easy to modulate at slow speeds, even despite the ferocious stopping power that they've got. And the brakes also work really effectively, and they're working in conjunction with the amazing grip that these Pirelli tyres provide. So from a design point of view, it's kind of all of the Porsche elements and all of the GT elements are present and correct. So there's a lot of the things that you'd be familiar with from 911s, from the GT products, all of those sorts of things. It's a very nice place to be. Externally, obviously, it's in the right colour. I think it has all of the nice signature elements that you'd expect from a GT car. It's got a nice carbon fibre wing, a nice carbon fibre roof as well. Inside, as I mentioned, you've got a lot of the feel, particularly from the steering wheel, of the GT products, and also the seats as well. Seats are a lot more comfortable than the ones in the GT3 Touring, but obviously that's a lot more of a focused car. But they grip pretty well. It's a little bit of sliding around, and probably if you were really pressing on, but they do feel almost sofa-like comfortable, which I think with this kind of car is probably more of what you want. So overall, I like the design elements, but I'm not sure whether I like those design elements twinned with the big 4x4 coupe body. I can see why it is very much a Marmite kind of car. It's splattered with all of those things that you love, but maybe they shouldn't be on this vehicle. I'm not sure. I'm so conflicted, because actually driving it and living with it, you can imagine it being a lovely thing to have on your driveway and to use every day. But does it say the right things, or the things that I want to say about me as a Porsche driver and a Porsche enthusiast? I'm not completely sure. You could use the argument that without Cayenne and Macan and all of those other products, we wouldn't have all of the sports car products that we love. That argument has been going on for a long time. But should we cross the streams like this? I'm not 100% that it was the right thing to do. I think it's interesting as well. This car has kind of fallen off the radar a bit. There were a few interesting videos when it first came out, but it's gone very quiet. And I would like to know more people who own GT3, GT4 and other GT car products, what they think of this. So if you do own a GT car and you've got an opinion on it, let's have some comments down below to see if you think this is the kind of thing Porsche should make, or is it just the kind of thing that they have to make. Because of Porsche's amazing engineering though, it does work. This car does, as a lot of people have said, defy the laws of physics to a certain extent. The get up and go that it's got, as I mentioned, is almost frightening. It's sort of hard to believe in a way. It almost feels faster. I think actually on paper it is faster than a GT3 0 to 62, which is, you know, very shocking. Okay, I've got the spec sheet for the press car. So the standard price for the Cayenne Turbo GT is £147,510. This particular press car has got this lovely Arctic grey. I really like this colour. I could imagine this on a GT, any GT product, to be honest. The Arctic grey is £1,683. It's got 20-inch collapsible spare wheel, interesting, which is £270. It's got matrix LED lights in black with the Porsche dynamic light system. It's got privacy glass on the back, which is £354. It's got the head-up display unit, which is really good. I really recommend that. It's £1,033. It's got park assist, including surround view. As I mentioned, I use that and it's amazing. Not only have you got rear view cameras, but you've got front cameras as well, which I've not been in a car with front cameras before. And you've also got the bird's eye view, which is fantastic. And that's £522. You've got adaptive cruise control with lane keep assist and speed indicator, £1,986. That seems quite expensive. Soft closed doors, which is great, £497. Maybe we could lose a bit of weight there. We've got heated windscreen, which is £336. Don't need it in these 36-degree temperatures we've got today, but it'll come in handy in the winter. We've got an ionizer as well, which I'm sure is to do with the oxygen inside, I think, which is £203. We've got ambient lighting, which is pretty cool, £287. Side airbag in the rear, £291. 4-zone automatic climate control, £581. You've got a fire extinguisher as well, which is £105, and the £9 first aid kit, which I always say would be nice if that was free. So the total price for this particular car is £156,002. So you're looking at about just under £9,000 worth of options. To sum up then, it's been quite difficult to analyse this car because there's been a lot of traffic during this test today. But I don't think I've ever been more conflicted about a car, because it's kind of almost like it's got all of the things that you love about Porsche. It's got an amazing sounding engine, it's got an amazing gearbox, it's got all of the trinkets of a GT product, it's got great suspension, the electronics that control the body composure and those kind of things are brilliant, the brakes are amazing. You can imagine living with it every day. It's really comfortable. Inside, the build quality in here is absolutely amazing, just as you would expect. There's even the little yellow trinket that makes me feel like a racing driver. But it's kind of, I suppose, how would I sum it up? I suppose it's like if you had a really big chocolate cake, if you had a small piece of it, that might be okay. But if you ate the whole thing, it might make you feel sick. So maybe that's what it is. It's almost like all of the elements are amazing, but all together, for me personally, it's just a bit too much. It's not really what I want from a Porsche. Although, weirdly, I can imagine living with it every day and it being absolutely brilliant. I can get the kids in, I can use it every day to go to work, I can use it to go on holiday, I can do absolutely everything. But would I feel good about it when I really thought about it? Probably nowhere near as good as I would do in any of the sports car products. So hopefully that makes sense in some kind of way. So that's about it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you get the chance, and hit the notification bell so you get a little notification when I've produced a new video. Lots more great car content to come, and thanks to Porsche GB for the opportunity to drive these cars. Thanks very much. Bye for now.